All right, today I'm gonna be doing a review on the TKC 80 rear tire. I'm gonna give you my pros and cons, how it performed on and off road. Also be giving you my thoughts on how it compares to the Shinko 805 and the Motos Tractionator Adventure. So stay tuned. All right, I'm gonna try to keep some kind of structure to this video. So we're just gonna start with pros and cons, and then we'll move into how it performed on and off road. All right, the first pro is the price. Now, this tire is a 150 7017. I found it online for about 160. Now, that's a pretty good deal, but it also could be a con. I'll let you know more about that in just a second. And I also want to say this, I didn't actually buy this tire. It came on this bike when I purchased the bike. Had about 36 miles on the tire. Now it has about 1800, so I do got some experience with how it performs. Now, on pavement, it did pretty good. You can lean it over in turns. On the mountain turns, you can carve a little bit. Now, I'm no sport bike guy. This is an ADV bike, so I'm no crazy canyon carver. But I feel confident with laying it over as far as my ability allows me without the tire slipping out. It's a pretty soft compound, so it is pretty sticky. Even with the spacing in the lugs, still feels pretty confident in the mountain turns. Now, it is a noisy tire, just like any other knobby tire. So when you're going down the road, you're gonna hear it roar. It's gonna make a little bit of noise. Another downside of this tire, with it being so spaced out lugs, is when you're coming up to like a stop sign or traffic light, just when you're moving about 10 miles an hour or less, you can actually feel a bumpiness to it. When it was new, it's got a little bit of notchiness to it just because the lugs are so spaced out, but that can be expected with pretty much any knobby tire. There's trade-offs when you're running something that's going to be more aggressive off-road. And on wet pavement, it actually did pretty good. We got caught in some rain on the Smoky Mountain 500. Now, I've slowed down obviously because you should do that with all the oil coming up in the road, but it performed well. I didn't ever feel like it was gonna slide out from under or nothing like that, so it did pretty well. Now, as far as off-road performance, I have ridden this tire in sand, deep sand, hard embedded rock, gravel, and mud. So I've been over a wide variety of terrain, and to be honest, it did fairly well. We did a lot of sand riding going to the Pavement ADV rally on the Scar, and it never left me feeling like I was going to get stuck. It stayed on top of the sand. It did pretty well. And it ain't going to be as good as like a Desert HT on a Motos, but it did fairly well for what it is. Probably comparable to the Shinko in that aspect. Now, on the hard embedded rock, felt pretty confident there too. I mean, that was a lot on the Smoky Mountain 500, and I didn't feel like it was going to kick out on me or nothing like that. So it handled the rock fairly well, and I'm going to attribute that to the spacing on the lugs and also the softness of the tire. Now, on gravel, hell, let's be honest, you can ride a street tire on gravel, so there's no point in talking about gravel. Any tire will work on gravel. Now, in the mud is where it lacks a little bit. It actually lacks a little bit of side bite. It'll step out on you a little bit just because the side lugs don't go far enough down on the tire, on the outside of the tire. And the straight line performance is better than a Shinko just because you do have some spacing, like you got a solid lug and an open lug. So it does help a little bit on straight line traction in the mud, better than the Shinko 805. And you'll have to excuse this background noise. There's a dumb dog down the street from the neighbor, so just excuse that, I apologize. But the tire performs fairly well off-road. The mud's where it's lacking, and the side-to-side traction is not that great. If you hit too much throttle, it will step out on you. That happens on a lot of tires. The Shinko is really bad about that, but this tire will also do that. Now, when you're stepping over to a Motos Tractionator, the lugs are a lot bigger, spreads out onto the side of the sidewall a little bit further. The side-to-side traction on that tire is much better, but this one does okay. Now, we'll get back to why the $160 is not really a pro, and it can be a con as well. And obviously, the size of the tire is going to vary in price. Different sizes is going to be different prices. So just find the one that works for your bike, and you'll have to judge the price on that if it's a good value to you. Now, this tire wears out super fast. This tire, I'll give you a close-up of it in just a second, but this tire has about 1,800 miles on it. I'd say it's probably got another 200 or 300 before it's completely shot. But if you got into any kind of slippery off-road stuff right now, this tire would not perform because the middle lugs are almost gone. I don't do any kind of measuring, nothing like that. I'm not that kind of review guy. I just give you straight up opinions on how it works in the real world. If you want reviews like that, check out Kyle Bradshaw's channel. I'm sure he goes more in depth with it. But I'll show you close up of how these outside lugs look to the center now that's got 1,800 miles on it. So let's give you a closer look at that. All right, as you can see, now like I said, I'm not gonna measure it, but I'll just give you like a little finger test there. You can tell how deep that is, and that still got little tits on it. So that's a pretty, I mean, not real big for a brand new tire, but that's still how the center would have looked when it was brand new. Now if you look at this here, I mean, you can tell, I mean, that's pretty wore down even on the sides there, and you can tell in the center they're really small, rounded over, they don't self-sharpen or anything like that. So you can tell how much wear is actually on that tire after 1,800 miles. Now some people might ride that out to about another 500. I'm not that guy, because like I said, you're losing tons of traction and a lot of safety, in my opinion, with a tire that's that wore out. So as you can see with the close-up, that's pretty wore down. That's why I say the $160 price point is not that much of a pro, because if you're paying $160 for this tire and you're gonna pay somebody to put it on, per se, say you don't put it on yourself, okay, that costs you 20, 30, 40 bucks. Now you got almost $200 in the tire. It's gonna give you 3,000 miles worth of longevity, and you're gonna have to throw it away. If you buy something, say like a Shinko, it's about the same. I mean, they're about the same price point, and it's gonna wear out just as fast. Now, if you buy something like a Tractionator, it is a $240 tire, but you're gonna get 6,000 to 8,000 miles on it, depending on how heavy you are on the throttle. So it is more expensive right out of the gate, but you're getting twice the life, and you don't have to take the bike to the shop or the tire to the shop, getting it changed, and just having to fool with that. And you're gonna have better straight line traction, better side-to-side traction. They self-sharpen, a Tractionator actually self-sharpens. Just a whole lot better value, but that's all on the rider. Now, if you're like a rider that don't ride that much, or you're only gonna put, say, 3,000 miles a year on your bike, then definitely this is the value for you, because you can just buy the tire, ride it for a season, put a new one on next season. But in my opinion, I wouldn't spend the money on it. Now, I know I'll get some comments in the comment section hating on me for that, because I know there's fans of this TKC 80, but I can tell you I'm not one of them. I don't hate on it. It did better than I expected it to, but how fast it wore down is just a waste of money to me. I would never buy this tire, but it is a step above the Shinko 805, I will say that, but it's just way below any Motos tire. Now, I am a Motos ambassador now, but I still pay for the Motos tires, so my opinion there might be a little biased, but I love their tires. I've been paying for them. This just happened to be on the bike, so I wanted to give it a try to actually give y'all a review. But I'll be replacing this with the Motos Tractionator Adventure, because that's my favorite tire. And I probably won't buy anything else, to be honest with you. But I think for certain people, this might be okay. It's definitely, like I said, definitely buy this before you buy a Shinko 805. I can tell you that for sure. And go from there. But it performed decent, a lot better than I thought. So that's pretty much it. And I'll show you. Hold on, one second, hold on. This is what I'm replacing it with. As you can see these knobbies here to what this is. These are about 15 millimeters. These started out at about 6. So you got way more meat on this tire. Perfect traction. I got a review on the channel for the Motos Tractionator Adventure. I think this is almost a unicorn tire. It's perfect for 50-50 riding, in my opinion. But this will get somebody by. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it, because people love the TKC 80 for some reason. I'm just not that guy. I'm a Motos or nothing, and I'll always be that way from now on, because these tires are just a beast, I'm telling you. But if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, drop them in the comment section. If you hadn't already, hit that like button, help this channel out a little bit. And definitely, if you hadn't already, hammer the shit out of that subscribe button and that notification bell, so you'll be alerted when new content comes out. And hey, see y'all in the next one.